It's time for a couple of underreported holy mackerel stories in today's news. Israel's military offensive against Hamas in Gaza has been going on for 3 weeks, and most of the images you've seen of the offensive have been from far away. That's because Israel banned journalists from entering the war zone. In addition to keeping reporters out of Gaza itself, the Israelis also blocked reporters' access even to big areas of southern Israel, the part of Israel that is near Gaza. The Associated Press reports today that a number of journalists who have gone into restricted areas have been arrested, and some photojournalists have had photos deleted from their cameras by the military. Israeli officials have explained the restrictions by saying they are trying to protect journalists, but they've also said they don't want journalists relaying their views of Hamas and the Palestinians without checking their facts. That's the thing about a free press. You can't always trust those wascally reporters to report exactly what you want them to report. That's what free means in the whole free press idea. On our next show, we are hoping to have a new report from NBC's Richard Engel, who is in the region. But you may recall that the last time we spoke with Richard Engel from near Gaza, he reported that Israeli military officials had plans ultimately to let some journalists in to see the scene in Gaza. Mr. Engel reported that the plan was to allow reporters in once the U.S. media and American public attention was focused on the Obama inauguration and not on the conflict in Gaza, and viewers simply wouldn't really care that much at that point. Right on schedule? Guess what Israel did yesterday? The IDF began to take foreign reporters on guided trips into selected areas of the war zone. About a dozen foreign reporters were driven across the dunes of northern Gaza's sandy shoreline to the town of Al-Atatra. It's a position arranged by the Israeli military, a 30-minute drive from an army base near the border. The reporters were under strict military supervision. They were briefed by the commander of Israel's paratroopers, who arrived by tank for a press conference. According to Ethan Bronner at the New York Times, during the interview, the commander was looking down at a military-issued briefing book with talking points about what he should say. Whatever the ultimate outcome of this war in Gaza, the war to control the reporting on it has been decisively won, or decisively lost, depending on how you look at it. In our second holy mackerel story tonight, almost every politician in the state of Illinois will be at the inauguration festivities for Illinois' own Barack Obama next week. Illinois politicians have been sort of newsworthy of late. So one of the rather petty questions that's been up in the air about next week's politics and personalities is whether Illinois' moment in the sun would be spoiled by a little soon-to-be-indicted dark cloud named Governor Rod Blagojevich. We have reported previously on this show that Governor Blagojevich, as a sitting, if impeached governor, had received 2 tickets to the inauguration. We can now report that the governor has chosen not to go. A spokesman saying the governor, quote, does not want to be a distraction. Yes, of course, because that would be crass and self-serving. An inauguration, as every school child knows, should be bleeping golden. And finally, Hawaii, the nation's 50th state, became the first state to have all its television stations start broadcasting in digital. They switched over a month before the rest of the country makes the switch from analog. Why did they switch early? Because of a very, very important bird. It is the Hawaiian dark-rumped petrel, an endangered bird. And yes, I said dark-rumped. The bird's nest on the slopes of Maui's Haleakala volcano. The bird nests on the slopes of the Haleakala volcano, and that is where the analog transmission towers are located. Park rangers decided that they wanted to take down those transmission towers before the nesting season started this year for the dark-rumped petrel. I guess so they didn't have to worry about cutting down towers that the petrels had nested in? Or maybe so that the towers would be out of the way to make for a nicer nesting environment for the petrels? I honestly don't know, which is the part of the story where you start suspecting that maybe I'm only doing this story because it has given me an excuse to say the word Haleakala and the word rumped on television repeatedly. Guilty as charged. Sorry.